I had a feeling once that you and I could tell each other everything for 2 months. But even with our oath, with truth on our side, when you turn away from me, it's not right. I think you're a contra. 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 My revolution thoughts, you little arrows of desire, I wanna trace them to the source and the wire, but it's not useful now, since we both made up our minds. You're gonna watch out for yourself, and so will I. I think you're a contra, and I think that you lied. Don't call me a contra till you've tried. You wanted good schools and friends with pools. You're not a contra. You wanted rock and roll, complete control. Well, I don't know.
Hey, this is Joseph with zchg.org and WeCharge.com, just bringing you an update. So,
Never
Fear
pick
the beast.
sides, never choose between
weed.
two. But I just wanted you. I just wanted you. Said never pick sides, never choose between two. But I just wanted you. I just wanted you. I think you're a contra. And I think that you lie. Don't call me a contra till you've tried. Died in Hudson Bay. Oh, sweet thing, Zion doesn't love you. Babylon don't love you, but you love everything. Oh, you saint, America don't love you. So I could never love you in spite of everything. In the dark of this place, there's the glow of your face. There's the dust on the screen of this broken machine, and I can't help but feel that I made some mistake, but I let it go. Through the fire, through the flames, you won't even say your name. Through the fire, through the flames, you won't even say your name. Only I am that I am. Who could ever live that way? What your way, what your oh, the motherland don't love you. The fatherland don't love you. So I love anything. Oh, good God, the faithless they don't love you. The zealous hearts don't love you. That's not gonna change. All the cameras and fires, all the paranoid style, all the tension and fear of a secret career. And I can't help but feel that you see the mistakes, but you let it go. Through the fire, through the flames, you won't even say your name. Through the heart, through the flames, you won't even say your name. Say I am that I am. But who could ever live that way? What your way, what your
Outside the tents, on the festival grounds, as the air began to cool and the sun went down, my soul swooned as I faintly heard the sound of you spinning Israelites into 19th nervous breakdown.
through the fire, through the flames. You won't even say your name. Through the fire, through the flames, you won't even say your name. Only I am what I am. But who
Hey, welcome.
It's hard to say between these days. Retrace my step back through the way. Last night the rain grew down. I called you up with no answer. It's all a waste of time. I've wanted this since forever. But I don't know. It's not the way I love. I try for you to see, but you'll never know. Oh, it won't ever work. Don't you see? Gotta let it up. No, it won't ever work. Don't you see? Gotta let it up. I think the ways to fly. We smoked away in the basement. I kissed your lips so dry. We danced until we were wasted. Love, it's a dream I made. And all I need is many ways to fly away.
You don't have a big budget. A lot of times it's do it yourself around here. As of right now, we were driving the child transport vehicle around and heard a loud noise, a clanking noise, and we were still about an hour from home. Well, I'd say half an hour from home. And come to find out that this rod bearing had failed. So when I opened up this oil pan, before I could wiggle this and the rod bearing would it had spun, and so before I could wiggle this, we got the new rod bearing in there. These days it takes quite a bit of time to get a new part in. Some call that the new normal. I think it's absurd, but it is what it is. We had to wait for the part to come in, and then it came in, and I had mismeasured, and so then we had to order a smaller bearing to fit. The journal had essentially decreased in size a little bit. The journal, when I measured it, it was a little bit, what is the word? It was out of round. So we'll see if this new bearing solves it. There is no jitter anymore when I move it, any case. So it is certainly a lot better than it was. But as people who are car buffs might know, it could fail at any time if it's not precision fit, if I don't turn the crank. Just an observation and sort of why I'm doing what I do. Anytime I work on cars, I try to wear gloves, and the reason is if you get a little bit of oil on your hand, myself anyway, I start to feel pretty ill after a few hours, or even these days a few minutes of working on a car. I'm aware that oil can seep into your skin and probably cause leukemia and other nasty, maybe like Hodgkin's lymphoma, other nasty cancers. So the reason that the conventional engine has to go is not because of global warming. It's because it's bad for the body. It's bad for the environment. It's not to do with the global warming agenda. Which goes hand in hand with that new normal bullcrap. Any case, so I told you before in my last update that we were painting, and I was painting, and we got a lot of painting left to do, but we were sort of going real slow right now because we had to replace the rod bearing, and hopefully we get this back together. Welcome to zchg.org, and today we've got a little bit of a territorial dispute going on between some kitties. This orange cat thinks he runs the place. Little does he know, or maybe he does know, and he's figuring it out, that he is outnumbered, outmatched, outgunned, and not on his own property. But he comes by. He looks like he's probably interested in Pixie to the right, and Tux, who's an older male and sort of a Sigma male, I would say. He makes sure that orange cat doesn't get any ideas. You can see our solar panels in storage back there. Whatever your beliefs, the fact is that animals will compete over limited resources. Addie, can you please move out of the shot? Thank you. They will compete over those limited resources instinctively, as the case may be, just as people tend to do. There are reasons for that in the short term. Oh, hello. Look at that helicopter. What is that? Is that a Huey? Huey going overhead? Pretty cool. Yeah, humans tend to think that they need to compete over resources. Now, that's not the reason for this video. The reason for this video is to talk about something that I think needs to end at some point. I don't think we should force anybody's hand, but maybe we should stop making the internal combustion engine to be in the fore of things, Addie, can you go over there with the cats? Or, well, stay away from that orange cat, but can you get away from here for a second, please? Sweetheart, can you listen to me? Thank you. So, any case, that soot I just showed you, I'll show you one more thing. See that interstate? We live pretty close to a highway there. And well, it attracts a lot of this stuff, which is to say the soot, right? And when that soot collects, it of course follows that it is collecting in our lungs and going into our soft tissue, affecting our brain, lung health, cancer, that sort of thing. And when I went to Bogota, Colombia about 7-8 years ago, along with pretty much every other major metropolitan area, metropolis, when I went to Central America, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, I've been to Colombia, Argentina even, to a lesser extent, what you experience is they import a lot of those used internal combustion engine based trucks, cars, buses, etc., etc. And so even this modern, quote unquote modern United States, which we live in, has this soot accumulating in our lungs and on the ground and in the snow. And yes, even even in our children's lungs. But any case, that limited resource, fossil fuel, which I'm sure I'll lose points with YouTube algorithm, but who cares for mentioning that global warming thing. In my opinion, being a career environmentalist, a career economist, my credentials will show I am an economist.
I just want to make,
as well as an environmentalist, as well as some engineering. It's sort of a hoax in order to keep the powers that be in control. And whether you believe it or not, you can believe me when I say the internal combustion engine, I think, needs to go, which is, of course, in support of that narrative, that dogmatic belief that global warming is going to one day bury New York City in 100 foot of water. Why do those, being an economist, why do those some of the smartest people in the world, why do they put a vast allotment of their money or resources into those oceanside real estate properties? Those ocean state real estate properties are supposed to be underwater and really soon. And so what's the deal with that global warming causing the oceans to rise? I just don't buy it. The smartest people on earth don't either. And maybe they're not the smartest people on earth. Maybe they're just the most sell out. Who knows? But in any case, they are not going away from the ocean anytime soon until that seawater starts to rise anyway. And so conceivably, we don't have to worry too much about that. But we do, again, have to worry about our children's lungs, our children's soft tissue organs, brain, lung, everything. And to that end, we've got to plan ahead. Now, when I visited Bogota, Colombia, and other cities and countries in the second world and in the third world, those refurbished engines, what happens is they lose their tolerances over time, and those tolerances will tend to a tolerance, if you didn't know, is that the metal chipping on the metal over time inside those engines causes less than perfect stoichiometric reaction inside of the engine itself, and so essentially what occurs is there's more pollution, and as I showed you, even in first world countries like the United States, that pollution tends to occur anyway. I'm on the phone, honey. That pollution tends to occur anyway, and resulting no matter where you live, you're affected by it. And if you live in a third world country in the middle of the city, like I briefly did when I lived in Bogota, or not lived, but traveled through South America and Bogota, I'd get these major migraine headaches because there would just be bumper to bumper traffic outside your hotel or your hostel, as the case may be, and it would just give you migraine headaches. And so I decided at that time, 7 or 8 years ago, that I was further cemented in my belief that I was going to work with renewable energy. Now, when I got started with the electric vehicle charging station, I thought for sure the battery was a good way to solve it. But to be frank, to be honest, and knowing what I know now, you live, you learn. The battery is not such a good solution. It is a stepping stone technology. It's an intermediary technology, and the power of the Step B are going to try to push this upon us as an intermediary technology in order to cement those existing powers. And when you work in crypto, when you work in economics, when you work as an environmentalist, it's impossible to ignore. It's the truth. The battery is a stepping stone technology which is intended to keep the powers that be as they are as the establishment. It's not so much intended to relieve us of our children's future being in jeopardy. It's not to prevent the oceans from rising. It's simply put for more nefarious reasons than that. And so when I got started with CHG, which is now zchg.org, when I got started with WeCharge, WECHARG.com, when I got started with these ideas of electric vehicle charging stations off-grid, distributed, I fully believed in the battery, and now I don't. I think it's a stepping stone technology. But being nimble and small, being as an advantage, I'm not committed to those technologies. I think that they will have their use in the short term to medium term, and that's still going to be very lucrative for people who are invested in our technology. But we're also going to be facilitating very quickly that being nimble, small, that transition over to the next thing, which the wireless transmission of power. Have you ever studied that? Nikola Tesla, who is a giant, whose shoulder I stand upon, to paraphrase Newton, in all of my research, most all of my research. It's important not to use the fallacy of the absolute very often, but in almost all of my research, Nikola Tesla comes to bear, because when he was working on wireless transmission of power, the big reason that Edison put the kibosh on it was not so much because it wasn't great technology, because it was, but because, as to paraphrase that gentleman, you couldn't put a meter on it. And Edison, being perhaps a brilliant business person, he sort of reached that understanding with respect to Tesla's work, and he, for lack of a better term, he stole Tesla's work and used his business sense to sort of scam the world out of wireless power. Now, wireless power didn't just stop working; it just sort of got put in some chests and put into storage and picked up by a certain 3-letter organization. And that's the history of it. And those are the facts, just the facts. And you can disagree with me if you like on fact, but there's no real point in that. When our children's future is at stake, and we need a better technology than lung and air and brain pollution in Bogota, Colombia, when we need a better technology than the lithium mines in various countries and the lithium scraping from the oceans, when we need a technology that has the economic stability, economic stamina, and as well as the range anxiety stamina that batteries simply cannot do, this intermediary technology is going to have to transition into the long term.
I think it'll have something to do with the bringing back Nikola Tesla's wireless transmission energy. I've already mentioned recently there's also that wireless internet, which is enabled by Web 3.0, which CHG developed. Now, over a year ago, almost 2 years ago, we were pioneered that into the Web 4.0, which is peer-to-peer distributed internet over radio, to bring free internet to everyone, or very, very affordable internet to everyone. The wireless transmission of power is also going to be quite important. And so to that end, we're going to have to think about further into the future than the further into the future. He's back. Crikey. The panther moves in on the encroaching orange kitty. So, we're going to have to think about how our children... Addie, stay out of the way, please. Addie, come over here now. 3. We're going to have to think about how our children can make it beyond all the noise, and think about how the limited accessibility that we all have to resources can permit for us to not only survive, which is sort of all wretch and no vomit if you think about it, but thrive, which is much better way of living. So it's not the internal combustion engine, and it's not the battery. It just might be something older, like wireless power, which is in fact older. Well, the internal combustion engine is pretty old too, but you know what I mean. The future is in wireless power. The future is in hydrogen and methane and other renewable fuel sources. The future is in steam, which is going to make a comeback as well. Excuse me, I wasn't looking. Oh. Can you hear that? And the future isn't getting along. You can't get along if we continue to permit the powers that be to dictate what's going to happen, because they're interested in more. And over at zchg.org, we're just interested in making sure that everyone has enough to not only survive, but to thrive. And so we've had to protect ourselves a little bit from those powers that be that continue to encroach upon us. You know, we've been sabotaged over the years. We've had people get paid off, in my opinion. We've had our funds frozen by, I can tell the truth, PayPal, Square. We've had Google rip us off for tens of thousands of dollars in advertising funds with almost zero ROI. I'm talking pennies on the dollar. And it's because they're not kind. That's ultimately what it is. Be kind. All you have to do. Addie, what is that? All you have to do is think about your children, and that all goes by the wayside. And for the exciting conclusion to all this, please stay tuned over at zchg.org. You might also check out WeCharge without the EWECHARG.com. If you go over to zchg.org, you'll see that we've been working on a lot of stuff with a very limited budget. We've been working on Web 3.0, which we pioneered, Web 4.0, which is the peer-to-peer distributed radio internet, which takes the meter away from internet, which is a ripoff. If you go off grid, you'll find out satellite internet costs $140, $150 a month, and you get capped at 25 gigabytes. We're pioneering. We're bringing back the steam power if it's applicable. We're bringing back the wireless transfer of energy. The wireless transfer of data is coming into the fore, all distributed. Hydrogen, methane, various others, renewable sources of fuel. We can all get along. It's very natural to get along. What's not natural is these powers that be that are encumbering that very natural process of sorting things out. If you leave them to it, the good people of this earth are very capable, in fact, destined to be good, to just lead a peaceful existence. That's their natural state, and I truly believe that. And to accomplish that, we simply have to stop listening to the dogma, and we have to start letting ourselves live our natural state. I'm really itching to talk about open development, guys, and why I give everything away almost as soon as I develop it. I'm really itching to talk about that soon, and I will. ZCHG.org. Check us out. WECHARG.com. Without the EW, we charge. WECHARG and ZCHG.org. I keep thinking they're gonna resolve this. What are we doing with that? We're thinking about stuff. Don't worry, we're thinking about stuff. Well, maybe that orange kitty's gonna come say hi. What do you think, Addie?
I think it is.
Do you think it wants to say hello? You know, when that orange cat first started coming by, Tux did not like him very much. And that orange cat was being mean to Pixie. But something tells me, the way he keeps coming by, and the way Tux more or less is, crikey. The way Tux is more or less, you know, if Tux wanted to, he could kick this cat out of here. He's done it many times. But what would be the fun in that? Hello. Hello. Hello, kitty. Hello, kitty. You know, we can all be nice to each other. There's plenty of resources to go around. There really are. Those instincts. Don't let them fool you. That those National Geographic instincts that we think are the predominant nature of those animals. That's another lie. That's another lie. The truth is, we were meant to get along. I really believe that. And the truth is, we were meant to have clean air. And that's the real reason. And reliable, stable fuel, energy security. And that's the real reason I'm working on this project. Because we were all meant to get along. We were all meant to get along. That's the truth. God bless. Have a wonderful day. ZCHG.org.
Energy is money. What do I mean by this? Energy is money. I like physics because of how it provides elemental models of natural phenomenon, which are more or less correct. Classical physics dictates matter and energy are the same basic building blocks of the universe, and matter itself is composed of energy. For this reason, at a very fundamental level, energy is the core building block of the universe. I was primarily an economist by schooling and a computer scientist by profession thus far. This helped me to peer into the core pillars of value. Gold holds value because it exists only in limited known quantity, and this quantity can only be increased by mining, an expensive ordeal requiring the inputs of labor, energy, machinery, land ownership, itself a limited commodity, and high externality costs. But let's break that formula down. New gold equals labor in, plus energy in, plus machinery in, plus extra costs like land, plus externalities in. And this is externality is like the cost of the degradation of the land, for example, which is a real cost. We just don't usually assess it traditionally in economics until the very end because it's somebody else's problem. Gold is matter, which itself is composed of energy. If you had a really nice reactor, you could convert gold or any other matter into energy. Labor is a function of human labor, but these humans also composed of matter and requiring of energy in the form of food to work. Machinery is composed of matter also and requires matter and energy in order to materialize. This leaves externalities, the cost of degrading the landscape in order to acquire that gold. Tearing up the landscape for some golden nuggets has environmental destruction attached to it. This is important again to remember. The equation, when broken down, reveals that all elements break down into the same basic component, however, which is energy. Naturally, it follows that a currency looking to find parity with something so elemental as energy would have a good chance at finding real-world value. But value requires one more thing to be truly complete: people who want to purchase the commodity. For this, we must assign a utility to that energy. After all, there are, for all intents and purposes, an infinite number of energy units available in the universe randomly bouncing around, but only a finite number of energy units available in a form which is immediately ready for human use. The electric vehicle boom is upon us. Now more than ever, the common man can afford to purchase an electric vehicle. This fundamental stepping stone in the evolution of renewable energy permits clean energy to be the primary input for the first time in industrial history. That's because all those new electric vehicles on the road are going to need lots of places to recharge. And, unlike the centralized model of gas stations, electric vehicles have the ability to recharge wherever they go. By allowing anyone to be their own boss and set up electric vehicle recharging stations for anywhere that electric vehicles park, WeCharge, over at WeCharge.com, has provided a way for ChargeCoin, over at chargecoin.org, or chgcoin.org to be more specific, to infuse the value of energy directly into currency. Every time a transaction occurs on the ChargeCoin network, that transaction is reflected on our atomic swap exchange. By accepting Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and legacy currencies like credit card, in addition to ChargeCoin, every time one of these currencies is used, the transaction value is first applied to the open market in decentralized fashion. What that means is that ChargeCoin injects the value of energy directly into itself each time an electric vehicle on the network is used. And, since anyone can contribute to the new decentralized energy economy, the price of organized energy is distributed evenly. Compare this model to the old model of centralized big oil, where a small number of players control a vast, but now dwindling, resource. Instead of a few key players controlling energy, now everyone can partake in the profits, resulting in a healthier distribution of wealth without taking. Key to this equation is the aforementioned externality cost. Now that solar panels cost less than 24 cents a watt as of the writing of my blog post, which I'm now orating, it is finally possible to economically inject renewable energy into the new energy economy. WeCharge, over at WeCharge.com, that's WeCharge without the E, so WECHARG.com, is offering electric vehicle recharging stations which can use solar, wind, and other off-grid energy technologies to intelligently recharge electric vehicles in even the most remote locations on the planet. Now villages or remote locations can supplement the ever-decreasing startup costs of having off-grid electricity by providing energy to the electric vehicles which are now flying off of the assembly lines. So we have some powerful ideas coming together and cementing themselves into the ChargeCoin ecosystem. We have renewable energy finally finding itself as the primary input energy. We have the decentralization of energy distribution into the hands of people providing the electric vehicle charges rather than a small number of powerful players. We have a free exchange, which is itself decentralized and for energy. And we have a transaction protocol which just so happens to inject that value of energy directly into charge coin, with each transaction by way of that free market. These variables work in tandem are why I believe these variables working in tandem are why I believe ChargeCoin is quietly becoming the most important development in the field of blockchain. Like an iceberg quietly waiting beneath the water, ChargeCoin is just waiting to get noticed before we capture the energy marketplace by storm. The ChargeCoin platform has developed into a decentralized distribution transaction protocol that works using energy time as a basis of value. That's powerful. Consider investing. Well, I haven't talked about ChargeCoin in a while, so let's talk about ChargeCoin. ChargeCoin is my secret weapon. You should read the forums, forum.chgcoin.org, where I talk about this. We have a lot of software being developed over at chgcoin.org. And that software is being developed in secret because big oil and the big banks and probably some other big corporation type entities are hungry for what we have. I should say they're hungry for the antidote to what we have, which they'll have to come up with. But what we have coming is a full decentralized platform. So you might have heard that buzzword a lot recently, decentralized, and then before that blockchain, and then before that Bitcoin. This is the next step in that evolution. Decentralized latitude, longitude, decentralized or registration, I should say, wherein you place your latitude, longitude of your electric vehicle charging stations. Decentralized exchange, decentralized credit card transactions, so you can buy crypto, or excuse me, you cannot buy crypto. I shouldn't say that because big banks don't like that. You can buy charging time with the CHG coin, or Bitcoin, or Litecoin, or a US dollar credit card. Let's see what else. The platform will be for Android. It'll be for iPhone. It'll be for desktop. It will be hosted in a decentralized fashion, such that the every individual node or charging station, as the case may be, is a contributor to the user interface. So the user interface is loaded on each individual node. The way the transactions are run, and guys, it'll be our own mainnet. So be sure, if you don't know what that means, to look up what it means to be a mainnet platform in this space. It essentially turns us from an anonymous coin, one of 7,000, where we were comfortable for a while, into what we want to become, which is a major player in this industry. And we are batting about 400 right now, guys, off of public view, but not for very much longer. I'm very excited to show you what we've been created. I am actually bursting at the seams. As I have mentioned previously, we are releasing it in tandem with Ethereum 2.0. Ethereum 2.0 appears to be having some issues with their proof of stake, which means that we either have to wait with them and in the trenches and continue to keep this hidden for a small time longer, or we have to come up with our own essentially proof of work, proof of stake, whatever the next derivation might be. I've got a lot of ideas for what that could be. I think personally that the public ledger is a nice seal of verification, but I think that the primary seal should be a fully encrypted platform, which will be CHG 3.0. I don't want to get too much into that at all due to its secrecy, but the basic idea here, excuse me, I just woke up, I got a little sleep in my eye. The basic idea here is, I think that proof of stake or
proof of authority, anything that they come up with, it's going to be a stepping stone anyway. So, you know, the idea is to come up with something secure for this era and then try to come up with something for secure for the next era. You know, like quantum technology coming out. The game's going to change anyway. It's going to change in some unpredictable way, regardless of circumstance. You can create your models all you want, but quantum's going to change things. So we will evolve with that. Other platforms will evolve with all of the changes that occur in security. It's going to always be a battle between the crackers and the people who don't want their code to be cracked. And that's all there is to it. Yeah, keeping this short. The platform is ready from our end. We're sort of just waiting for the proof of stake to be cemented as a verified, secured, public blockchain ledger. And we're not holding our breath. We're looking into our own options. And of course, this big space, there's so much to choose from. If we want to jump ship and jump over to a different proof, then we can, and we will. And so I am a huge fan still of Ethereum. I think that they are doing it right. I think we are doing it right with them, and I cannot wait to share in this with you guys. Again, this is about decentralized electric vehicle charging. So we're taking it off grid here in the mountains, and we're showing you that electric vehicles can be net zero pollution. They can have 100% sustainability, but the only way you can do that is to make sure your inputs are solar and wind. So in addition to all that technology stuff I went over, if you hadn't followed our blog, which be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment. We are also hanging out with the hardware side, doing the electric vehicle thing, experimenting with ways to improve the input with respect to the specific outcome, which is getting those electric vehicles charged up quickly, getting them charged up sustainably, and
There's a man who leads a life of danger.
Yeah. Okay, hurry. It's coming. Oh, look at oh, crap. Look. They're fighting. Oh,
he stays a stranger.
Hurry.
Every move he makes, another chance he takes. Odds are he won't live to see tomorrow. Secret agent man, secret agent man. They've given you a number and taken away your name. Beware the pretty faces that you find.
Fucking Italian.
A pretty face can hide an evil mind. Be careful what you say, or you give yourself away. Odds are you won't live to see tomorrow. Secret Asian man, secret Asian man. They've given you a number and taken away your name.
First rule in government spending. Why build one when you can have two at twice the price?
A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
mindful that we still have the power company. We still have encourage you to be mindful that we still have the power company. Encourage you to be mindful that we still have the power company. Encourage you to be mindful that we still have the power company. We still have firefighting resources along the highway. So take your time, be mindful, be aware on that highway this morning. Over here in Alpha, where this work's getting done and where we access Cedar
Sitting in a park in Paris, France, reading the news and it sure looks bad. They won't give peace a chance. That was just a dream some of us had. Still a lot of lands to see, but I wouldn't want to stay here. It's too old and cold and settled in its ways here. Oh, but California, California, coming home. I'm gonna see the folks I dig. I'll even kiss a sunset pig. California, I'm coming home. I met a redneck on a Grecian Isle who did the goat dance very well. He gave me back my smile, but he kept my camera in a cell. Oh, the rogue, the red rogue. He cooked good omelets and stews, and I might have stayed on with him there, but my heart cried out for you. California, oh, California, coming home. Oh, make me feel good, rock and roll band. I'm your biggest fan. California, I'm coming home. Oh, it gets so lonely when you're walking and the streets are full of strangers. All the news you read just give you the blues. Just give you the blues. So I bought me a ticket, I caught a plane to Spain. Went to a party down a red dirt road. There were lots of pretty people there, reading Rolling Stone, reading Vogue. They said, how long can you hang around? I said, a week, maybe two, just until my skin turns brown. Then I'm going home to California. California, I'm coming home. Oh, will you take me as I am, strung out on another man? California, I'm coming home. Oh, it gets so lonely when you're walking and the streets are full of strangers. All the news at home you read more about the war and the bloody changes. Oh, will you take me as I am? Will you take me as I am? Will you take me as I am?
YouTube channel is. I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear or affirm that the entirety of the Joseph-K, Joseph-K YouTube channel is correct to the best of my knowledge. I, Joseph Colavini, do solemnly swear or
families. You have Christians, Jews, Muslims. You have 50 pairs of oxen. This is a poor and dusty place.
What we do not have is water.
Right. Stone the walls.
Yalla! Yalla!
Stop! Stop!
Come here, يلا 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 يا سيدي تعال معايا